TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Ziemet, your State Farm insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Ziemet and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. Welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 35. Of course, the oak tree of the news department is Dan Lynch working without his laptop. Dan, how you doing today?
That was the worst Super Bowl. I didn't even watch the Super Bowl.
That was painful. It really was. And don't get me started with the halftime show.
Who are the Snowhawks? I couldn't name more than 3 players.
Well, it was just a terrible game. It was just an awful game. It really was. Well, also joined Scott Ziemet, celebrating 20 years. Scott Ziemet, your State Farm insurance agent at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
We see your mug all over the place. Of course, you sponsor a lot of local sports teams and whatever is going on. You've helped us out so much with freezing for food and stuff like that. Why are you so invested in this community, Scott? What made you settle down here 20 years ago?
Well, honestly, State Farm brought me out here.
Okay.
And that was right about the same time my son had just been born. And then my daughter followed not too long thereafter. And so we've been in the community fully vested the whole time.
We had Jeff Kiker here the other day, and he was talking about George Beasley, which is a name I knew when I first moved to town. And did you have like a mentor like that, somebody who kind of guided you along in those early days?
Yeah, so honestly, when Jeff and I first started, we started the same time, and it was George Beasley retired. And then essentially what State Farm did, they said, hey, Jeff, why don't you go to Sycamore? Scott, you go to DeKalb.
Oh.
And that was kind of how we started. So Jeff and I have known each other since day one, really.
Is that right? Wow,
Yep.
okay. We want to talk about all the different types of insurance you do, and especially when I'll focus in on kids and driving. We had Mark Sykes here the other day who was driving instructor over to DeKalb High School, told us a couple stories over there. But you cover, this newscast covers all of DeKalb County, and I see you cover DeKalb, Sycamore, Cortland, Malta. You cover all of DeKalb County as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, and Mark is a great asset to DeKalb High School. I've gotten to know him and the folks over at the driver's ed program very well through the years.
Now, I know a lot of different insurance. You cover rental insurance, condo insurance, and we talk about the fires we've been having here locally. But I saw boat insurance, campers, and then pet insurance kind of jumped out at me because we and I were just talking about our dogs here off the air. And tell us about pet insurance. Is it a good idea? Is it based on, what do you base that on?
So pet insurance, State Farm offers it through a company called Trupanion. And essentially, the rates are going to be based on the type of animal, the age of the animal, the gender of the animal, and a few other factors like that. But essentially, it's meant to cover unexpected, veterinary bills and things like that.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's not the product we sell the most of by any means.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. It's got a place for some folks. Some people just self-insure for that type of stuff too.
All right, and again, real quick, we'll get to the news, but I also want to mention we had fires this summer as well, where several people were displaced from an apartment building, and I know you've emphasized it for a long time. Renter's insurance. People think it's throwing money away, but it's such a smart, and it doesn't cost that much, does it, Scott?
No, honestly, in my opinion, that is one of the biggest bangs for your buck. If you're renting, you should absolutely have that because there's 3 big coverages that it helps you with. God forbid if there is a fire or a tornado or a water pipe breaks in your apartment, it's going to cover your personal property. It's going to cover what we call loss of use. So if you were displaced for a month, 2 months, 3 months, there's some coverage for that.
Okay.
And then as well, liability coverage is another big one. So if you were ever, responsible for, say, a slip and fall or anything like that where you could be sued, there's a liability component to that renter's policy. And it is so inexpensive. People just really don't believe how inexpensive it is. But yeah, it's worth its weight in gold, God forbid, if something ever happens.
Yeah, great thing. Again, for you parents, the kids are moving out again, maybe to an
100%.
apartment. That's that insurance. Very good. Yep. And of course, Dan, when he was in college, he was worried about his Zanfear albums, but you insured those separately, I think, the Zanfear stuff. All right, Dan's got some news, and we're going to talk some more insurance with Scott Ziemet. What do you got there, Dan?
A 13-year-old boy was charged after a Minivan was reported stolen from Sycamore and then recovered in Rockford. It was recovered Tuesday night near 20th Street and 23rd Avenue, just before 7. When police were approaching, the rig took off
Oh, gosh.
at a high rate of speed, and the juvenile exited the van, was taken into custody after a foot chase. Charges include aggravated fleeing to elude, possession of a stolen vehicle, no driver's license, and resisting arrest. He was taken to the juvenile detention center, although I don't know which one. I don't know if there's one in Rockford, but Rockford police say additional charges may be forthcoming.
Wow. Now, Scott, I always wonder about that when somebody gets their car ripped off like that, or when we watch one of these chases where 2 or 3 cars get dinged along the way. What do those people do? You come to the insurance and go, yeah, you might have seen the video where this guy was running from the police, or how do you make a claim like that?
Well, so if your car is the one that's hit during something like that, if you've got collision coverage on it, your own insurance policy would cover it, less your deductible
Okay.
for something like that. But then ultimately, the person driving that car is obviously responsible for that. Now, is that intentional or is it not intentional? But
Right.
that's why, as long as you've got collision coverage, if your car gets hit, whether you're in it or not, that's the coverage you would need to fix the damages to your car.
Now, would that include a tree branch falling on it or something like that? Or-
Well, yes, but that would be technically your comprehensive coverage. So comprehensive coverage, is going to be fire, theft, vandalism, weather events, hail, trees fall on your car.
Okay.
Any of those events, you would need comprehensive coverage. So whenever you hear somebody say, well, I want full coverage, when we hear that, we try to clarify, but really there's 2 big coverages, your comprehensive coverage for those types of events, and then collision coverage, which is the more straightforward. You've hit something, someone's hit you, are the 2 components that protect your car.
All right, very good. Well, good answer there. All right, Dan, what else you got there, my brother?
Well, registration is open for Give DeKalb County Day. It runs through April 1st, allowing nonprofits that serve DeKalb County to participate in the May 7th fundraising event at givedekalbcounty.org. Donations can also be made the old-fashioned way by a check, and then you can write it down in your check register, TD.
Right, in the memo, of course.
And the annual event organized by the DeKalb County Nonprofit Partnership, and that has raised almost $13 million since its launch. And for details, you can call Ben, 748-5383.
Now, Scott, you're obviously a small business owner, as is my wife, and I know you must get bombarded because we have so many wonderful nonprofits in DeKalb County. But it must be a constant for you being knocking on the door, trying to get help from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We get visited by a lot, and we try to say yes to almost everybody.
Yeah,
really,
you seem to.
Really,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I mean,
wonderful.
It's a good way to give back, and like I said, it's with myself with 2 not young kids anymore, but I've got a 21-year-old and 19-year-old, and when they were going through youth sports and schools and everything, I was on the other side of that. So I've always tried to help out whenever we can.
Did you coach a little bit? Did you dabble in the coaching?
I did. My 2 kids, my son, not an athlete. We learned, but when he was younger, he did t-ball and baseball and
Okay.
basketball and soccer. And I've got a passion for sports, so I absolutely helped t-ball and baseball back in the day.
That's awesome.
It was short-lived, though. It was short-lived. And then my daughter, she did gymnastics when she was younger than volleyball, and I never did coach either one of those.
All right, very good. I was recently not shocked, but almost taken aback, I guess would be the best way to put it. When my granddaughter told us that she's not really interested in getting her driver's license. She's about to turn 17, and we're like, what? My mouth was hanging open because usually, I remember at 15, we're chomping at the bit, but that's not a common thing, but we're seeing that more and more where kids don't want to get a driver's license, do we?
100%. Like I said, I know the folks at DeKalb High School and the driver's ed program. I've built up a relationship with them through the years. So every semester I go and spend an entire day with the driver's ed classes and talk about insurance and safe driving and stuff like that. But the teachers have told me that is 100% true. And I've got a lot of customers that tell me the same thing, that their kids just aren't as anxious or don't even have the desire to drive. Kind of like same thing, when I was 15, 16, just could not wait to get our driver's license.
Now, you got a 16-year-old or just turned 16? Is he talking about getting his driver's license? Or?
Yeah, he is.
How are you dealing with that?
I'm teaching him to drive already. We're doing laps in the parking lot.
Oh, you got the big old parking lot right next to you there.
Country roads. And because you need money and you need a job, and the restaurant that he's going to work at, you got to drive there. So,
Oh, good for him. He's
And
got-
I grew up in the country in Maple Park, and
Yeah.
you had to get your license. Otherwise,
My wife grew up in Sugar Grove, and one of her brothers wanted to play sports, but the old man was like, "Well, you can't because we can't get you to and from school, after school was closed." So they worked out something with the neighbors. But yeah, that's a big situation. So it's he wants to drive to work. It's great that he wants to do that.
yeah. So plus, he'll do stuff for me. That,
Run some errands. There you go. Well, I was joking with Mark Sykes when I went to Notre Dame School for Boys, and that's where I took driver's ed. And our driver's ed instructor would take us, he'd run errands with us. He'd go to shopping. All right, guys, wait in the car. You go and do a little shopping there. I thought it was great. So that's what your kid is going to be doing. But this is what he has to do, right, Scott? Now, the permit phase must hold a permit for at least 9 months. That's what a kid has to do to get his license, maintain a conviction-free driving record, and complete approved driver education. So you have to take driver's ed, right? Is that right?
As far as I know, you absolutely do.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what Mark said. Okay.
Yep.
16 and plus requires parent certification, 50 hours of practice, including 10 hours at night. Now, is that just on the trust system, Scott, or how do we know they're actually doing that with the parents?
I think that is on the honor system. I can only speak for when my kids were in the permit phase. It was a literal piece of paper.
Okay.
And it was to track their drives, and you would track kind of when they drove, what the weather conditions were, the time of day that they were driving. And yeah, you had to have that filled out. And then when they went to get their license at the DMV, you had to bring that with you.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great to know. And then we were talking about that for first 12 months or until the age of 18, only one passenger under the age of 20 is allowed, unless the passengers are siblings and step-siblings. Scott and Zach are your predecessor, Dan. We used to tease him at all because his first car was a soccer mom's van, his mom's van. But all his buddies would pile on there, trying to go run around. So you can imagine him, 5 or 6 guys behind you trying to drive. So that's a great law that they passed there.
Side note on the minivan, I know no teenager would want to drive a minivan, but that is by far the cheapest type of vehicle to insure.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great to know. And then I didn't know there's a nighttime curfew, prohibited driving from Sunday through Thursday, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and then on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Boy, that's a great rule.
Yep.
There. And the last one is cell phone usage, handheld and hand-free cell phone usage is prohibited for drivers under age 19, except for emergencies as well. So they can't even have the phone with them, right? Is that the deal?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. And I can tell you just for my own kids, it is a scary, stressful time when the kids first get their licenses and they're off on their own. As a parent, you just hope for the best,
I bet.
say a prayer, and hopefully you taught them the right way, right? So
I learned how to 3-speed on the stick there with the pickup truck that my brother-in-law taught me, but there was no test or anything. Now, what are the plans with the boy? Now, is he going to have to go and take driver's ed? They'll have to get the certified, as far as you know?
Blue Line.
Oh, yeah,
and-
they list Blue Line here. Founded by a veteran police officer in 2010, offering teen driving packages, $545 for classroom and behind the wheel there as well.
Right. So we're going to get the ball rolling when he's, as soon as he turns 15.
Okay.
So,
Well, I love the fact that he wants the car to go to work. It's awesome to hear that. Old-fashioned work ethic there.
well,
Yeah.
hopefully.
All right, what else do you have for news there, Dan?
A former DeKalb County Sheriff's Office deputy has pleaded guilty in a PPP, that is Paycheck Protection Program, loan fraud case. That's according to the Illinois Attorney General's office. 37-year-old Bartholomew Ilinikina.
There we go. I was wondering how you're going to pronounce that name. Ilinikia? Okay.
Yeah, because his wife was, his
Yeah,
wife
she
was a
also,
board
yes,
member.
unfortunately was charged with that.
Yeah, Savannah. 37-year-old Bart of Cortland will be forced to pay $20,000 in restitution and will serve 2 years of a second chance probation. Please don't tell me what that means, that distinction. The laws are always changing.
Yes.
The sentence was handed down in DeKalb County Court. Prosecutors say he forged loan applications for businesses that did not exist, walking away with $28,000 back in the summer of 2021. And his wife, Savannah, who served on the DeKalb County Board in District 5, she's facing similar charges. She resigned from the board
Right.
in June of 2025.
Yeah, so we just interviewed the 2 candidates that are trying to replace her ultimately.
Okay.
In the fall primary and the fall election there. But yeah, that's scary stuff. Now, Becky, my lovely wife at Becky Beck's Jewelry Store, she used the PPP and that helped a lot for her. She used it the proper way. Did you have to use that, Scott, during the
we did. Yeah, that was a very, very scary time for small businesses.
Yeah.
And it wasn't,
uh, Well, that's good. That's good to know. And then, again, people being, and then we got the bad people out, put the good people in. Now, DeKalb High School students walk out of class to protest. And this was a nationwide, I guess. I immediately thought, I don't know if you thought the same thing, Scott. You know, when I was in high school, if there was any reason to get a, blow off class, I would do it. But some of these kids really seem to be passionate. I guess they, on a partly cloudy day, they walked from DeKalb High School over to Hopkins Park there. And we're making a little noise along the way, people honking and supporting them.
We saw them walk right past my office that day.
Oh, did you really? Okay.
That's right down Sycamore Road as they were heading towards Hopkins Park. Had
So-
no idea.
It was pretty peaceful, I guess, as from what I understand, from what I read here. The kids are still going to be charged. I mean, you can't just leave school and not, and then not go back at all. But essentially, I was looking at the comment section. Half the people were saying, "Oh, good, look at the young people," expressing, and the other half were, they're just blowing off classes years ago. And I imagine there is a pretty even mix in there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, I remember, it's a long time ago at this point, but yeah, if we had the chance to get into class for whatever reason.
But now, when your two kids were in high school, was there anything that came up where anybody was walking out or doing anything like that?
No, my son, he was right in the heart. He was at DHS when COVID happened, so that was a very interesting time
I bet,
be
yeah.
in school. I mean, all the students were obviously impacted by that, but yeah, high schoolers in particular, it was such a strange time.
Oh, I feel so bad for you. I remember doing a basketball game to DeKalb and Sycamore, and they all were wearing masks to start the game. And at the end of the game, the masks were off. You're going to play basketball with a mask on? It's like
It seemed like it was about first or 2 minutes into the game, the masks were off.
they
yeah.
worked their way down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy looking back.
Now, as we mentioned, DeKalb High School Principal Donna Larson issued a warning. The potential consequences, she said, quote, "Because leaving campus during the school day is not permitted, any student who participates in a walkout will be treated accordingly to established procedures as well." So the kids, again, I don't know what their punishment might be, but some of them pretty passionate. So I'm going to try to get one of the young men who's Maja, what's his first name? But he's going to join the National Guard. And he said, quote, "The National Guard is all about helping out our community. It's not about all the federal stuff. The one thing, but the Illinois Guard, so we could help out people in need and actually be there for them." So I think it'd be interesting to get a young man's perspective who's going to join the National Guard, what he thinks about all this.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, the protest, yeah, I know it's sort of, it's our nation, what we do. I don't know how much it accomplishes. The No Kings, we had our folks in here, React is the name of the group, where the No Kings protest against Trump, which is, looks great, but I don't know how much that's actually accomplishing, but
Yeah.
it's letting people know.
Yeah, we had no idea that was happening. We just were literally in my office and somebody said, "What in the world?" And we looked out and there had to be 40, 50 kids,
what I said,
I would
yeah.
imagine, walking right down, 23 heading to Hopkins Park.
Yeah, all right. All right, Dan, what else you got for news, my friend?
Well, I tell you, I saw the pictures, and the kids could definitely use the exercise. They did some walks maybe every week.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I was in a walkout once, and I didn't even know what it was about.
I didn't
but
even know what it was.
I got out of class. The DeKalb City Council on Monday night approved changes to the city's Unified Development Ordinance to update sign regulations for non-residential uses in multifamily residential districts and allow electronic changeable signs for wall and projecting signs in the central business district. Now, the amendments set size limits and location rules, so how far from the road,
Okay.
for digital signs, including one wall or projecting sign up to 30 square feet per building, or a combined total of 60 square feet on different building faces. The changes accommodated a request by the Stagecoach Theater for their new 52 square foot sign.
Wow.
There's also a new sign on South 4th right by the D428 office that changes.
Okay. It's a sign of the times. Yeah, I get that one. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But the signage is interesting because I don't remember where where the Burger King is on Lincoln Highway, and there's a Glidden homestead there. There was a business office there, and a guy had a mannequin. Do you remember this? It was a mannequin out there. It was a human-like mannequin holding up a sign for his business, and I guess people complained about it was distracting, and they forced him to take it down. But
Okay.
But this is a little different than the signage. But I guess can we have little robots on the side of the road?
I don't know. At Christmas time, there's the gimmick of the guy, Clark Griswold, putting up lights on a house, and he's like
Right.
swinging.
And people are calling the police because they think somebody's hanging from the gutter there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
But this is about business signs, right? Yeah.
right in certain districts. Yeah.
Hanging out that shingle. Now, Scott, you're in a strip mall, and so are you you're part of a big sign then, right? How does that work?
Yeah, so we call it the monument sign, but
Okay.
yeah, right out front of us you'd see my sign out there with probably half a dozen
Okay.
limits, I guess. Yeah.
Now, we just had a big fire at Tom and Jerry's, and of course, people rallying behind Tom and Jerry's. They've found a new, the old exclusive, I guess, going to work out of there for a while, and they're going to rebuild. But I was shocked when I saw that, Scott, was, first of all, how many different fire agencies in the area responded to that fire. And then I understand they weren't able to use that fire truck in Sycamore because they didn't have the personnel to use that.
Well, they had a call like an hour.
Oh, and there was a call right before it. That's right.
So they were way overextended.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the other agencies helped out.
But Scott, as businesses grow, obviously you have to factor in insurance-wise as well, right? If you buy a brand new $10,000 piece of equipment, what do I do then in terms as a business?
Yeah, for sure. So, and first, I'd like to say Tom and Jerry is one of our favorite places. So,
Yes.
but yeah, as far as like the amount of equipment that a restaurant must have, it's got to be a huge number. But yeah, you'd want to have the building covered, of course, and then any sort of equipment covered, and also many other miscellaneous coverages on business policies like that too.
And we saw the fire here right here in DeKalb, right next to the gas station there,
Yeah.
Lincoln Highway. And boy, that was scary, especially the proximity to the gas station there. But,
Right across from Sully's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's so sad because I guess they just got done refurbishing that place there.
Yeah, I had heard, and it sounded like the fire was started trying to thaw some pipes out, is what I heard. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I'd heard.
And is
So-
that a common thing? I mentioned because I remember a year when we had some really cold temperatures, and people be underneath their house with this case, it might have been a blowtorch, is what they said, but usually a hairdryer with a hairdryer.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because one of my earliest memories as a kid, I remember we had some frozen pipes in my house as a kid, and I remember my dad had a hairdryer behind the sink, and I was like, "What in the world is he doing?" And that was the first exposure I ever had to something like that. But yeah, unfortunately, in the winter, especially the extreme winter that we had there for a few weeks, frozen water pipes lead to things like that, and the number of fires, obviously, this year in the wintertime has been more so than in years past.
Yeah, so I Googled what happens if you don't have fire insurance in DeKalb County, total financial liability for repairs, mortgage default, and lender-placed insurance. Now, what does that mean, Scott?
So, from a homeowner's perspective, if you have a mortgage on your house, the mortgage company is obviously going to require you to have home insurance because if there is a fire or something, they're going to be out that money otherwise. So, whenever you own a home in a mortgage, the mortgage company makes you have insurance, of course, whether it's through, usually in the private sector, State Farm, Allstate, and then there's what's called a mortgagee clause, so that every year as your home policy renews, your mortgage company gets a copy of it as well, just to prove that the insurance is still there. If you, for some reason, didn't have it, that force-placed insurance, that would be the mortgage company then saying, hey, you don't have insurance, which you have to have. So they will then force-place their own insurance at a much higher cost onto you.
Okay, I remember that when I bought my first house there. Now,
Yep.
how about loss of use, no emergency housing? Standard homeowners insurance covers additional living expenses. If you cannot live in your home, without it, you are responsible for paying your own hotel, food, and clothing. So again, you're on your own.
Yeah, so loss of use, similar to what I mentioned earlier when we were talking about renter's insurance. Same idea there, right? So if you have a loss, let's say you did have a fire or something like that, and your house is going to be, 6 months, a year, 18 months while it's being rebuilt, that loss of use coverage provides any additional living expenses if you're in a hotel for those months, or you have to rent an apartment. You don't have a kitchen in some cases, so you're eating out to eat all the time.
Right.
That loss of use covers things like that.
And then this one I find interesting because I remember there was a fire over on my neighborhood on 11th Street, and the fire burned the house and it scorched the two houses on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, liability exposure, you are responsible for any damage your fire causes to neighbors' properties. Right?
Yeah, that can get a little bit interesting, but your liability coverage, that's also a very important coverage in my opinion on whether it's a homeowner's policy or renter's policy. The biggest exposure to that is dog bites. I know you're a dog owner.
Yeah.
I'm a dog owner. Trampoline accidents, swimming pools, slip and falls, anything like that. So that liability coverage, if you're liable for something like that, that's where your insurance company would have that money first before you'd get sued personally.
Okay. When you said that, it reminded me of the Monty Python bit. I don't know when they say I'm supposed to say, well, my dog has no nose, and then you say, well, how does it smell? And I say, awful. That's the old Monty Python bit. Now, Dan, you just purchased a home. Did you do all this stuff? Did you have to do all this rigmarole and make sure you're insured and all such?
Oh, yeah. And it goes up every year, and then the house goes up in value, and then it gets reassessed.
But then you see, that's why that yearly update about your assessment, huh?
Yeah, so with most insurance companies, at least I can speak for State Farm, we have what's called a inflation endorsement, meaning that every year as your house gets older, or as as inflation happens, the cost to rebuild anything goes up, right?
Right.
So maybe when you first bought your house, X amount of square foot, it would have cost $200,000 to rebuild it. Well, now 15, 20 years later, that's probably $400,000 or $500,000. So that coverage increases for most people automatically each year. But it is important to revisit that with your insurance company to say, is this too much? Is it not enough? Because to your point, it is, as that increases, the cost of the insurance increases with
Right,
it.
yeah.
So
All right, very good. All right,
Yep.
Dan, you got another news story? What do you got?
One more.
Okay.
A new tax, maybe, if we're
Oh,
lucky.
gosh.
TD. The state rep Laura Favor Diaz of Grace Lake has. This is in the Illinois General Assembly. She's proposed legislation to impose a 10-cent fee on shopping bags, carry-out shopping bags at stores, effective 2027. House Bill 5112 would also increase the tax by 5 cents every year until it's 25 cents per bag. The fee would also
Hello.
apply to any kind of bag. 5112 would also ban stores from using plastic bags for delivering goods to consumers.
I know. I think in California they passed it, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did that because my sister-in-law lives out there. She's making your own bags, that you bring to the store there.
I could be wrong, but I think Chicago has something like that in place too.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It costs 1/8 of a cent. I just read this in my bathroom reader. I'm sorry to share that, but a bunch of accumulation of facts. But one of the facts is it costs 1/25 of a cent to make a plastic bag. So cost-wise, we're not worried. But now they want to get up to 25 cents per bag ultimately, yeah?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And then that money, that'll go into a slush fund, TD.
Well, do you know anybody who brings
To
their
be
own
named
bag?
later.
Do you know anybody who brings their own bag to the supermarket?
Oh, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
My wife and I mean, we have a closet, and there are several of those bags that
Okay.
we've acquired,
All right, so you just bring them all when you go to the shop. I remember the first time I went to Aldi's. I'm like, what's going on? I'm waiting for the person to put, no, you do that.
Actually, when we go to Schnucks, yeah, I mean, I'm still walking out with plastic bags.
Okay.
Still.
All right. Very good. And we want to mention Pizza Villa, our wonderful friends, one of our sponsors here, John Finn. This is the great 70 years in business here. We were talking about Sullivan's last week. Now, we had Andy Sullivan, the sheriff here, and you mentioned Sullivan's. Mm-hmm. Is Andy tied in with the Sullivans there? I didn't know that.
Well, he worked there as a youth.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
But that's the same family.
And so they've been there for 80 years, and then you got Pizza Villa's been here for 70 years. So, and of course, Scott Ziemet's been here for 20 years. So,
Got a ways to go.
got a ways to go once you're getting there. So we want to commend John Finn. And of course, we were talking about that fire that happened in DeKalb. And that night, John Finn got word of that, sent out all these pizzas, not only to the people that were displaced, but then to the firefighters as well. Too.
It's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
just the way,
it's awesome.
that kind of guy that John Finn is.
Also one of our favorite places.
All right, very good. All right, then. Now we go to community calendar. Usually more organized than this. Oh, yeah, we ought to mention our friends at the Junction Eating Place. Now, they also have a carryout, Taki's to go, which is all kinds of great stuff there. They're at 816 West Lincoln Highway, Suite H. Taki's to go in DeKalb. You can call over 739-7146. They got all kinds of great food. They got Greek food, but then they also got favorites like hot dogs and hamburgers, gourmet burgers, wraps. They got kebabs, Mediterranean favorites. So all the kind of stuff you would need. And they can cater breakfast, lunch, or dinner as well. So check them out. Taki's to go, Taki, Taki's to go, DeKalb.com. We thank our friends there for supporting us here. As again, we're so many wonderful places to eat. Like you said, that's one of your favorites. But we all have several favorites.
I do like to eat.
There's nothing wrong with that. Community calendar brought to you by Stagecoach Players Theater. Now, we gave away congratulations to our winners that went going to see Gypsy, which is actually tonight. It debuts tonight at the Egyptian Theater. I'm sure you've been there before, Scott, for some adventure. Now, was
Absolutely.
Lily or what's your son's name? It's Port. Was he
Yeah.
an actor? Either one of them actors?
No, I kind of think he could pull it off, but no, neither one of them.
Okay. And Dan, do you got any thespians now? Because I bet that's one of the things your kids miss. Well, there's no school plays, or will they be in a school play? Or my grandkids have hardly been in any school plays. I mean, what happened to school plays?
We're a part of a homeschool troupe
Oh, okay.
network, and there was they've been in a couple of productions. Well, my one drama kid, my kid who's
It's a drama
there's
kid.
a lot of drama. He's been in a couple, yeah.
All right, so Stagecoach Players Theater. Again, Gypsy running the February 12th through the 22nd. You can go to stagecoachplayers.com. Call over at 758-1940, 758-1940. There for Gypsy, the story about Gypsy Rose Lee, the stripper there. Things going on in the neighborhood here. A bourbon and spirits tasting and sandwich is going to go on Saturday from 6 to 8 o'clock. Glidden Date Night, that's kind of cool. Go back in time to Evenings Romance from 7 to 9 on Friday at the JF Glidden Homestead. Historical guests will enjoy 19th century music. And I remember being a kid figuring out the 19th and 18th century and 20th, like, what? It's always the one before, right? So this would be 19th century music, period parlor games, desserts, and more. Now, charades. I've been trying to get my grandkids to play charades. You know, we always, at the end of the family function, Grandpa wants to play a game again. Now, did you play any charade or anything like that, the games with the kids?
Yeah. So my sister, who is a teacher here locally in Sycamore, she loves games. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, we'll probably have 15 to 20 people. And do you want me to tell you the game real quick?
Yeah.
So the game is literally everybody who's playing, you have to write down 3 names on a little card. Right?
Okay.
And it's fictional people, historical figures, athletes, whatever. There's as long as everybody in the room would technically know this person, right? So you put all the names in a bowl, and then you basically pass the bowl, and you've got, I think, 30 seconds. And the first round, you can describe the person, act anything out, whatever you want to do. In the second round, you only can say one word. And then the third round, you can only act out this person.
Really?
So, yeah. So it's
That sounds like fun.
yeah, it's one of those games where me personally, I'm like, oh, we're gonna do this again. But then by the end of it is a fun.
Yeah, once
it
you
is,
know it,
is,
yeah.
it's
It's getting them
fun.
started. And Dan,
Is this an original?
I
never
it's
heard
my
that,
sister.
yeah.
So she's a first grade teacher. So I don't know if it's something she picked up from the schools, but she was the one who kind of brought that to us. And gosh, we've been doing that at family functions for at least 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Now,
going to
you-
do that.
Is there a family game? Because your kids range so much in age. Is there a game you guys can all get together and play?
Yeah, but there are fights.
Oh, yes.
The older kid didn't know the answer, but the younger kid did. And the older kid, his pride was hurt. So there.
Well, I have 4 brothers, and we never got through a Monopoly game. I was thinking about how many times we'd always start them out and be, how this is going to end? And I go, no, this time we're all going to be dead, And Kevin would run on the bank like he's.
I don't know if as a kid I ever finished a game of Monopoly.
No, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eagle Mania is going on this Friday night there at the Egyptian Theater. Should be a good time by all. The Galantines party at Sycamore. Celebrate Galantines Day with your favorite ladies from 1 to 3 on Sunday at Blooming Gardens. And, of course, Dan's all geared up for Dancing Queen, the Ovid tribute there at the Sandwich Opera House. That's going to be on Friday, February 20th, and Saturday, February 21st there. $39 seems like a relatively... Because some of these cover bands are just unbelievable. I'm not an ABBA fan myself, but I'm sure they pull it off.
Oh, guilty pleasure. I grew up.
No Dancing Queen?
No
Terry?
Dancing
Come on.
I remember looking at the album when they were in a helicopter, and of course Frida, she was really pretty.
Yeah, they had a very unique look. They did.
Yeah.
Benny, Bjorn, Frida, and the other two.
Oh, my God, you actually know their names. It's
That's
amazing.
impressive.
Now, City Council is proposing a mural. Matter of fact, we're going to have Scott Zach and Elisa, who's in their, I forget what they call the Beautification DeKalb Council, I believe it's called. But it's a mural. It's going to be Abraham Lincoln. But people were joking about the fact that it's supposed to portray all of America. So part of it's going to be everything will include national local history featuring visuals from Times Square to the Golden Gate Bridge. And online, everybody's been saying, why is there a Golden Gate Bridge, picture in DeKalb? But it's to represent the highway that brings us all together. What do you think about that?
I mean, I love history.
The concept,
Yeah.
Lincoln Highway, it brought us all together, So
Well,
from-
okay, so that highway goes across the states?
Yeah.
The United States?
Yeah,
That's what I thought. Like a U.S.
like Route 66.
thing?
Yeah.
But that doesn't end up in San Francisco, did it?
Oh,
I
it
never
doesn't.
ends up.
No,
But
L.A. by the we should know this.
Well,
but,
Route
know.
66
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
But does 38 go to the coast? Or no?
Don't know. I think it did at one point, but because that was how people got across the United States. I know.
Oh, that's why I thought they put the Golden Gate Bridge to imply that.
Yeah, well, that's why they say it here in the article. What's proposed to locate will include national and local history, including visuals from Times Square to the Golden Gate Bridge. So obviously New York to
Everything in
LA.
between.
And everything in between.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and again, it's not costing us any money. The project, again, support from the DeKalb community. Freedom of the $38,000 project is funded through the American 250 DeKalb budget, I guess a little bit, and pending a 50-50 matching grant from the National Endowment of the Arts there as well. So kind of a neat deal. But we'll see when they get it up. Because they had that car thing there that was there for a long time, but it fell off. Do you remember that? That was right there.
Boy, I don't remember.
They had
but
an antique car, and it was really neat because it was like 3D. It came out from the wall and just fell off one day. So that'd be cool to look for. And Jack Benny, Sing Dennis, is coming here to the DeKalb Library on Saturday, February 28th. Of course, he was born right here in Illinois.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jack Benny just sing. I was telling you last show that Jack Benny was worried that when he went from radio to TV, he wouldn't be as funny, that people wouldn't find him funny. And I guess when he came out and did that first little gesture, he had people on the floor laughing. So, but even Jack Benny was a little concerned about that. And also Dogman, the musical. Do you know anything about this, Scott? Because people that know about it are very excited about that.
So I only remember that from when my son was in grade school. I remember reading the books.
So Dogman's a cartoon?
It was an animated book, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But that again, that's 15 years ago at this point, so not the best authority in dog.
I love it. All right, let's take a quick gander. We always take this a quick gander at sports. Of course, today being brought to you by Franda's Fish Fry and Community Fundraiser. They're every Friday from 4 to 8 o'clock from here through Easter. From 4 to 8, Franda's Fish Fry, Community Fundraiser, and also it's a fundraiser as well. From 4 to 8, and they'll serve pick from entrees, including the 5 side choices. All entrees include unlimited access to soup, salad, and dessert station, a full service bar, non-alcoholic beverage, and kids menu included. You want to try something more unique, because I'm not a fish eater myself. Check out weekly specials, including corned beef and cabbage, as well as fried haddock or catfish. You guys big fish eaters?
Love it.
Do you really?
Yep.
What's your favorite?
Haddock, cod.
Yeah?
Yep.
So that's,
Miranda's has a good one.
you know how most people pay for the cod? COD. Yeah, I'll be all right. I'll be all
I
week.
walked
Yeah,
into
that's
that
right.
one.
But yeah,
You just put a bunch of tartar sauce on it, TD.
Well, I worked in a restaurant in Chicago, a seafood restaurant, and they had the oysters, And the guy, like, you put a little hot sauce on there and just slide it down. I'm like, well, then why even do it? If you don't want, you certainly don't want to chew it. It's like, why even do this?
Fish fry, my recommendation is malt vinegar instead of tartar sauce.
All right. Yeah. Well, that sounds a little more reasonable. The Franda's Fish Fry has raised over $4,500 for local nonprofits, including Safe Passage, Elder Care Services. So join them in 2026 to make the event even more impactful. So again, you get a great meal and you help support the community at the same time. So good for them. And then with the big show, I don't know if you guys have been following Kaneland at all. Kaneland has got a very good basketball team right now. They're 25-0. Sycamore was right there. They had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. Kaneland brought them to overtime, and then Kaneland ultimately beat them 73-68. So I think that was the last best chance of somebody beating Kaneland, at least before the postseason. But at Kaneland, again, they got 2 twin towers, and they got a point guard who just scored his 2,000th point. Scott, basketball.
They were very good last year, too. I saw them play twice last year.
Yeah, those twin towers. Yeah. And then the point guard, they got everything you need, really. It's
So now, is high school basketball, is it still entertaining? Because in the NBA, it's really strange. I think they need to raise the rim. But is high school still entertaining?
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if you've been to Kaneland High School in a game like this, where it was packed, it was standing room only, and the intensity is just, every basket is just incredible. I get goosebumps just thinking. I was really sad that I wasn't able to cover that game. But again, congratulations to the Knights. They're 25-0, 7-0 in the Interstate 8. Spartans are 19-5 and 6-2 as well. So again, it was a great matchup there. Xander Lewis had 22 points for the Spartans there. But again, a great matchup there. And I was just talking to Scott about this. Sean Reynolds playing in Division II basketball this year. And you said he found him a little bit, though, out there he's going to some school in Buffalo.
He's doing very well from what I've
That's
heard.
great.
Yeah.
And hopefully that program's a little bit better, because I know they were kind of suffering
Honestly,
a
I
little
don't
bit
know. I don't
there.
know, but I've seen just through social media posts and things like that, it seems like Sean's doing very well.
That's great, yeah. So kudos to Sean Reynolds, so congratulate him for that. And then we always like to take a look at, the community calendar. We just did the community calendar. Or obits as well. Now, I know it sounds a little morbid, but Scott, we determined, when Dan and I were on the radio, people used to have to pay to have their obits put on the radio. And as I look at this, there's so many wonderful people that we lose here that I thought we just mentioned a couple during the show. William Hertzner is an example, age 57 from DeKalb. Went to DeKalb High School. He was a veteran of the U.S. Marines, having served from 86 to 94. Was employed at Northern Illinois University for 16 years, member of the DeKalb Moose Club, and participated in St. Bedrick's annual charity event with his best friend Jesse, a foundation for research for children's cancer. Enjoyed karaoke, gaming with his friends, collecting and trading baseball cards, and spending time with his cat Monty. Now, baseball cards, my grandson has got a ton of baseball cards. And were you ever into that? Is that?
Yeah,
I know it ebbs and flows, and it seems like it's ebbing up again now.
Yeah, me and a good friend of mine, we had a lot of afternoons in the summer on bicycles, going to a couple different baseball card stores back in the day.
Is that right?
In the mid '80s, yeah. That was when, if I remember right, some of those cards, they kind of saturated the market with them. So I wasn't collecting them in the best time in hindsight, but yeah, we had a blast.
Ken Griffey Jr. was his. He had a Ken Griffey Jr. card, a rookie card.
I've got. If anybody needs a Ryan Sandberg rookie card,
oh wow,
I got pages of them.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would think that would be a hot commodity.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn, Ryan Sandberg, Roger Clemens back then, kind of those guys that kind of started in the mid '80s.
Okay,
yeah,
Dan, you a big baseball card guy?
Yeah, I think I have Barry Bonds, but he, maybe Will Clark.
Okay.
And then a host of guys who I thought were going to be great, and it didn't happen.
That was it. Yeah, buying him during their career. That was very interesting, because that's what he did. And he made a big deal with the $10,000 card. I'm about to get him to come on and talk about that.
I've at least got 2 boxes in my basement.
Is that right?
I've not seen the light of day in probably 30 years. So.
No, I'm being partially facetious, but would you insure something like that? Do you insure? Because how do you, like the Ken Griffey rookie, do you supposedly with the $10,000, but how do you insure? Do you insure that?
Yeah, I mean, you can. So we offer what's called a personal articles policy, which is meant for things like jewelry. Shout out Becky. Engagement rings are the biggest thing, but you can also put things like laptops, collectibles. But yeah, you have to have some way to
just gotta itemize it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. You've got to show us the value of it and a way to back that up, and then you can absolutely insure that stuff.
All right, very good. And Roy Thomas Fencemaker, age 92 of Sycamore, born in Springfield, Illinois, starting a life on the farm. Roy Sr. moved his family to Lee Center, then Genoa, then eventually settling in Sycamore, where Tom was a senior in high school. Tom attended the University of Illinois, which you did.
I did.
You not, sir? Right?
Yep.
Boy, they're doing well.
ILL.
Yeah, but they just lost a couple of big games in the basketball team.
But they're hurt. They're hurt. But I think they are going to peak here come March Madness and
all right,
make a run for it.
Graduating in 1955, the U of I, Tom was a member of the Air Force ROTC and a Delta Epsilon fraternity. During his junior year, he met the love of his life on a blind date. Now, Dan, I think that's the 4th time we've had the obits. We've been reading them here in the 6 months or so, where somebody met on a blind date and got married.
In that generation especially.
Yeah, that's something. Tom and Joan were married in December 1957, celebrated 66 years together. Retired in 59 as the first lieutenant, moved his family back to Sycamore to farm with Roy Sr. for 50 years. He grew corn, soybeans, and wheat, and initially raised beef cattle before switching to a hog operation. Several boards, including Kishwaukee Junior College, Sycamore School District, Kishwaukee Hospital, DeKalb County Pork Producers. He was the president of DeKalb County Farm Bureau. He and Joan started ag in the classroom. How about that? Volunteered his time with the Methodist Church, including Men's Pancake Dinner, was named the Cliff Danielson Outstanding Citizen Award. And I forgot to mention that, Scott, that you're a member of proudly as my wife, the Kishwaukee Sunrise Rotarian. And tell us about the work that you've done with them and why it's important that you belong to that.
So I admittedly am not as active as I once was, but I'm a past president of that club. And that is a great club. All Rotary clubs are really, but I was in the Kishwaukee Sunrise Rotary Club. We do a Taste of DeKalb event that I still help them out with every September. A big fundraiser. They give out a grant to a lot of the local non-for-profits.
And I think you had more runners than ever this last one, didn't you?
Yeah, so that's the Taste of DeKalb event starts as the Corn Classic run finishes. So right there, downtown DeKalb.
And have you done the run yourself? You were a runner, aren't you?
I was a runner back in the day.
thought so.
Yeah, I did that run a few times. I need to get back at it. It's been a few years, but yeah.
All right, now, in a moment here, Dan's going to formulate a trivia question, and we will ask you that. If you can get that, we will tell you about the prizes you can win, including a gift certificates to the Pizza Villa, pizza, pazza, sandwiches, and more And then a deluxe car wash from Ralph's Full Service Car Wash and Detail Center. Want to read quickly, our friends over at the DeKalb County History Center always send us over our own very personal This Day in History, not the one you see in the midweek. Again, go to DeKalbCountyHistoryCenter.org, find out all the great stuff they got going on there. In 1837, Mr. Russell Hentley, considered founder of the town of DeKalb, settled in the South End Grove along Kishwaukee River, intending to build mills and farms. Mr. Huntley bought all the south part of the grove, paying $5,300. Huntley's purchase contained about 500 acres of woodlands, as much as much a prairie he chose to call his own. Ever since the first settlement in the county, it was customary, all new public buildings. I should have read this ahead of time. The new courthouse was built in Sycamore in 1857. It was remembered as a notable occasion. The company was gathered from all over the country. A considerable party coming from Chicago. However, the building was not yet entirely completed until the following year. And in 1976, the Good Time Committee of Sycamore dismantled the Statue of Liberty snow sculpture that had celebrated the bicentennial. The 12-person committee had completed the sculpture of DeKalb Avenue in Sycamore for over 140 hours during the first week in January. They knocked it down so it could be remembered as a statue rather than as a blob of snow. So boy, I wish I could have seen that back in the day. But Dan, you got a trivia question. I want to remind people also we're going to be talking to our friends from DeKalb about their DeKalb 250 initiative, celebrating our 250th anniversary. Happy anniversary. You want to wish to Dan Halloran having a birthday. Also, Jonathan Cole Rigneri of Sycamore will have a birthday on the 16th. Timothy Stockwell of Sheridan will have a birthday on the 18th. Robert Francis Ryan, my father, would have had a birthday on the 18th. And Pat Reynolds, Aunt Pat Reynolds of Sycamore, will have a birthday on the 19th, along with Diane Cooper. Anybody, any birthdays in February you want to throw out for us?
Actually, Jonathan Cole Regnery, it's my nephew.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, small
Happy
world.
birthday, Cole.
All right, well, that worked out perfect. All right, Dan, what do you got for a trivia question? my
Michael
friend?
Jordan, February 17th.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, yeah,
MJD.
all the great people born in
That was my
February.
dad's birthday as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
17th.
My dad's was on the 18th,
Yeah.
and I'm the 28th. So my sister was on the 8th, my dad was the 18th, I was the 28th. So February, good month. What do you got for trivia?
Illinois State Rep Laura Favor Diaz of Grayslake, Democrat, is proposing legislation to impose a 10-cent fee on this item.
All right.
What is
that
that?
item? If you can tell us that, contact me at tdryan2001 at yahoo.com. Again, tdryan2001 at yahoo.com. And if you don't have, if win this time, you'll be in a pool to win our grand prize, which once a month we're going to give away a gift certificate to the Junction Eating Place in DeKalb. So we'll be listening for your chance. So just call in again. It's tdryan2001 at yahoo.com. And again, our thanks to our friends at the Junction Eating Place for that. Wrapping things up here, again, Scott Ziemet, really a pleasure. I can't thank you enough for when I first met our demise, when Scott and I met our demise, I came to Dan and I, and I called you and said I was going to try to do this podcast, and you said, when and how can I help out? So, I mean, you've always been like that. You helped us out with freezing food through the years, and just want to thank you for that.
No, I appreciate it. It's been wonderful getting to know you through the years. I still will never forget freezing for food in my parking lot when there was a power outage or a
Yes.
power issue, and we ran an extension cord from your trailer through my
All the way across the
office.
parking lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Into Scott, and of course, Scott had to leave his door open for the cord to get through.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 below. I don't think your secretary was too pleased with us at that, but that's the kind of thing, when stepping up, people always say, whatever you need me, but when you actually ask him to do something, that's when that's really something there. So,
But thank you for having me.
and tell us about raising your kids in this area. People talk about getting out of Illinois and stuff, and yet we, so many people. My stepson talks about growing up in DeKalb, the blissful child he had growing up here, and tell us about your kids.
It's been awesome for us. Like my son went to kindergarten at Brooks Elementary, middle school at Clinton Rosette, high school at DHS. Same thing with my daughter, and my son is now in his last undergrad semester at NIU, and then his plan is to go to grad school there. And then my daughter, she's at Kishwaukee College right now, finishing up her second semester. So
Yeah.
and it's been awesome. My wife's a realtor in town.
I was going to say,
gonna
mention your
celebrate
better
our
half, certainly in
yeah,
your case.
yeah, thank
Yes.
you. We're going to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary this July. So
Oh, congratulations.
I'm lucky.
We'll have to keep it on the QT. I'm sure you got big plans, right? Big plans?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, accept it. Dan,
Actually, we do. I'm in the planning stages. But yeah.
all right. Dan, we always give you the final. I want to mention too, Canines for Christ. They will be our next podcast that will drop on Monday. That's what we say in the industry. It'll drop on Monday. But they're a great group. They have these dogs. They go around to veterans organizations, and they were just at Oak Crest Retirement Center. And I tell you, it's just magic when you see a dog, either with a kid or an older person. It's just something magical happens right there.
Yeah,
It's,
we are dog people ourselves, and Love them.
So we're looking forward. So that'll be Monday. You get to hear Canines for Christ there out of and Dick and Linda, this wonderful couple that bring the dog around. You know, a friend of ours is at Oakcrest rehabbing there, and they let me bring my dog Lily in there, and put Lily. We had a little vest to put her on. But I can't tell you how great it felt to watch people petting your dog and loving on your dog. It was one guy had trained dog for 30 years, and he almost had a tear in his eye as he was petting Lily, and it just there's something magic there. I tell you.
Yeah, they're just cool animals.
They are.
Yeah.
So I remember they don't give them wings so that we don't know that they're angels. So, again, Dan, we give you the final word. What do you got at the final word there, my friend?
I'm giving up breakfast for Lent, and I'm ready for spring training because the Cubs picked up a good starting pitcher, and pitching is 90% of that game.
And the other half is defense.
Their new third baseman won't hurt either.
Bregman is Bregman?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that guy. He doesn't strike out, which is very un-Cub-like.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Grace, my favorite player. He doesn't strike out.
That's right. That's true. All right. Well, thank you guys again, Scott Ziemet. Thank you so much again. Go to Scott. What do we go online? Just Scott Ziemet?
ScottZiemet.com will get you to my website. Yeah, State Farm. Yeah.
Everything you insure, from your car to your house to your pet, right?
Yeah, life insurance. Yeah. Yeah.
The whole
Appreciate
nine.
it.
All
Yeah,
right. Always our
absolutely.
pleasure. And that's TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 35.